Very good morning, good afternoon, or very good evening, wherever you are. I am Blake Turner, founder and community manager of Grateful Migrant Collaborative Community, a community that recognizes the help and guidance of others as an instrument of prayer and gratitude to the blessings sent by God, our eternal LGBT creator, Father, who we thank for allowing each of us for live this moment together. I welcome you. I am happy to meet you and invite you to like this live, invite your friends, contacts, share it on your social networks, and write your comments and questions from now in the base of this streaming. For example, where are you seeing us? What do you think about this content, and what is your dream in Canada? In this Facebook Live, you, a streaming member of the community, you will be able to ask us the question that worries you so much, that motivates you to continue, and you feel that the define your immigrant path streaming to an expert. In this way, to promote the spaces that educate and have fun, where the people who wish to migrate to Canada can clarify concerns with regulated professional for which allow yourself show you the following considerations to have in this moment the rules for this life together. In this moment, we are going to read it. The people who with to update and quality information take action producing better results. The comment made here belong to the part that expressed, but not at the those who spread it. The time scheduled for today is like 20 minutes with 10 questions. Could be more, which will be adjusted according to dynamics of the streaming between the audience, guest, and moderator. If any of the questions have been partially or totally answered in the streaming, it will be reported, and the next one will be continued without taking into account previous events. The question must be Canadian immigration based on current circumstances in the general way, no particular or specific, with respect in order to help many people in the similar situation. The most important thing, if it pleases you, Almighty and Eternal Creator Father, you can bind him. That is fully my dream of saving you in Canada, the United States, or any other destination that may be so. I ask for your blessing. If which that trip, I will be able to know more about you, your commandants, your premises, and be part of your people. I ask you permission so that pathway opens up for me. Thank you so much for all the blessings that I receive from you daily. I promise to obey your laws, instructions, precept, and statutes faithfully. We thank you for supporting and work by liking, leaving the comments, and subscribe our channel. In that moment, we are going to meet with our guest, Mona Lisa Ruiz. She is a immigration consultant that provides excellent information for us. I want to introduce her, but I am going to leave the microphone to her. She is an ICCRC regulated licensed Canadian immigration advisor. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome, and please tell us about yourself as people connect. Why do you consider, Mona Lisa, yourself a grateful migrant?
Yes, hi, thank you. As Blake said, I'm Mona Lisa Ruiz. I'm regulated Canadian immigration consultant. And welcome everybody, and you're welcome to ask any question. Give you a little bit background on myself. I was born back in the Philippines. I came to Canada way back 1980s, and I studied, graduated, and I got a job. I was a social worker for the government of Canada for 23 years. But when I was working in as a social worker, I saw a lot of refugee who doesn't have an advocate. So I was thinking maybe I should study immigration to help people to come to Canada and then to help my relatives to come to Canada and understand how immigration works. Because I came here in a work permit visa as well. So basically, I work as a work permit visa, became permanent resident, and became Canadian citizen. So when I got my license in immigration, I quit my social services, social work job, and I opened my own business. So I was in business since 2009, and I help a lot of immigrants to come to Canada. So basically, Blake, I want to thank Blake for inviting me to this broadcast and able to actually probably give you an informative information. And I hope that the end of broadcast that I will, you have some clarification of some concern that you have. So that's my background, and I'm so grateful to be an immigrant, and I'm grateful to Canada because my life changes because I came to Canada. It's not easy when I came, but you know what? I don't even remember the hard work. I remember about the benefits that I'm having right now being a citizen of Canada. So I'm able to bring all my relatives here in Canada, like my nieces, my nephew, all my sisters, and helps a lot of friends. So that is my background. So right now we can open the forum for any question. Or Blake, you want me to answer the question that you actually sent to me?
Yeah, yeah, Miss. We are going to start with the questions. Only want to remember for the members, the topic for today is Mexican workers in Canada, and we are going to start with the first question. And thank you very much again, Mona Lisa, for taking your time to be with us.
Welcome.
Okay, the first question related to Mexican workers is this one. Do Mexicans require a visa to visit Canada?
No,
Or in Spanish, ¿los mexicanos requieren visa para visitar Canadá?
no. Under the NAFTA agreement right now, Mexican, all they need to do is apply for ETA. ETA means electronic travel authorization. They can apply online, pay the visa for $7, and within a minute they get an approval.
It's so
So
fast.
yes, so they don't need visa. So I encourage everybody in Mexico, if you can apply and get an approval for ETA, come to Canada, and you can contact me and we can switch your ETA visitors visa to work permit visa. As long as we have a job offer, we can do that.
Excellent. Okay, the second question is, what if I already have a previously Canadian visa and it has not expired? ¿Qué pasa si tengo una visa canadiense anterior y esta no ha expirado?
If you have a visa and you went back in Mexico and it's not expired, you can still come back. But make sure that ETA is not expired. Okay, the ETA, the electronic travel authorization.
Okay, in that case, if no, going to have a refuse?
If the ETA is expired, you just have to reapply for ETA again and come back to Canada.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you. The third question is, what is the ATA? ¿Qué es el ETA?
Well, ETA stands for Electronic Travel Authorization. This is specifically for countries that have NAFTA agreement. It means they can apply for ETA with the country of residence, and then once they get approved, they can travel to Canada as the ETA visa, like a visitor's visa, but it's specifically for Mexican people.
Okay, it's good. The fourth question is, do I need to apply for ETA every time I visit Canada? ¿Es necesario solicitar el ETA cada vez que visito Canadá?
No, if your ETA is not expired, but if your ETA is expired, you need to reapply before you come to Canada.
Okay, sounds good. The fifth question is, where is the ETA processed? ¿En dónde se tramita el ETA?
You need to have the passport. You have the passport, name, date of birth, basic information. So once you apply online, pay the $7. As I said, you'll get a notification that your approval within a minute. That's easy.
Uh,
That's easy.
it's very easy, but you said the people has to have first the passport, right?
Passport. It's not expired passport, because the life of the passport is exactly the same length of visa that will be issued to you.
Okay.
And
The sixth question is, what other requirements is needed to process the ETA? ¿Cuáles otros requisitos se necesitan para procesar el ETA?
they're not really asking a lot, just basic information, current employment, and status, like that you're a Mexican citizen. So as I said, it's a very quick online application. Once you submit it, you get a minute, you get an approval in a minute, or you get a result in a minute.
Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay. To continue, we would like to show to the members and general public our main webpage. That in that way you are able to see where we are, how we help to the people, and what is our services. You can see in immigration and things for pray. You are more than welcome to visit us and take information from that website. Okay, Mona Lisa. Again with our questions, we have the next one is, how can I work in Canada as a Mexican citizen? ¿Cómo puedo trabajar en Canadá siendo ciudadano mexicano?
Well, you can come to Canada in different category, and in different category based on different qualification. So the list is, Mexican people are very famous coming to Canada in an agricultural. So basically, they can come to Canada in a work permit visa. In agriculture, there's two part of agriculture: the seasonal and the general farm worker. But if they have high education, they can apply for any category like express entry. See, Mexican people have the same rights like everybody else in the world. As long as you meet the minimum requirements, you can apply to come to Canada and work. Some category, it doesn't ask a lot of requirements or education. Some of them are just asking for high school. In general, farm worker, their basic information, basic requirements just needed. You're not asking a bachelor degree, so just some employer, they're asking us for basic English, but anybody who wanna come to Canada and work, and then the employer has a sponsorship, then you can come to Canada and work. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yeah, fully answer.
Uh-huh.
Fully answer. The next one is, what are my rights as a Mexican working in Canada? ¿Cuáles son mis derechos como trabajador mexicano en Canadá?
Mexican citizen has the same rights as everybody else coming to Canada, including citizen of Canada and permanent residents. The moment you step your foot out of the airplane, you have the same human rights as everybody in Canada. It doesn't matter if you're a worker, you're permanent residents, you're a citizen, you have the same rights. That's called Charter of Rights of Canada. So everybody is protected like everybody else. It doesn't matter if you're Mexican, if you're not Spanish, if you're European, you're African American, you have the same rights in Canada.
Okay, it's is good information. That is no different kind of rights.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is the opposite. What are my obligations as Mexican workers in Canada? And for an examples, ¿cuáles son mis obligaciones como trabajador mexicano en Canadá? Y algunos ejemplos.
Well, the obligation of Mexican citizen as a worker in Canada is depends on the job requirements that they have. If the Mexican citizen came to Canada in a general farm worker position, their obligation is the requirements for the job. The obligation is to be compliance, to make sure that you're not getting in trouble by law. At the same time, you are fulfilling your duties as a worker, whatever your position is.
It's important to know the duties for the job. If you don't meet the duties or don't make it 100%, could be you are going to have problems inside of your job and then lost your permit and then go on. No.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Before to continue in our session, I would like to remember to the members the importance to be updated with the immigration, refugees, and citizens of Canada news. In the web page, you can see the link that is going to be in the description that provides you some information for taking a decision in your pathway. It's important to be updated because sometimes you take a better decision based on. You can see information from all the years behind 2021, 2020, 2019, and then so on. Mona Lisa, quick question. Do you think what is the most important notice that you would like to remember for the members based on the last news?
Okay, first, when you are coming to Canada and you want to retain a consultant, to make sure that check in ICCRC that they are regulated and their license is still active. Their license is not suspended. So it's very important. And then the second thing is if you're retaining somebody who in a certain category, make sure that person has an experience and expertise. The third that I want to encourage Mexican people because of the NAFTA agreement, you can come to Canada in electronic travel authorization. And then when you get to Canada, and anybody who you find an employer who's willing to sponsor you, you can switch it to work permit visa. So I will encourage everybody who can get ETA to come to Canada. And then you can find an employer by yourself, or you can hire a consultant who actually can help you find a job for you to switch your visitor's visa or ETA to work permit visa. And coming to Canada is easy. Like I said before, I'm sure when I came, I have no idea. Probably I can speak proper English, right? I can understand, but you have to, if your dream is to come to Canada, make it happen. Don't worry about the barrier, don't worry about the thing because, you know, Canadian government is very good. They accommodate everybody who's eligible and met the requirements. And when you get to Canada, you have the same human rights. You're protected by the government. If there is an employer who's actually abusive, like I do when I place my worker in an employer and then I find out there's an abuse, I will pull them out. I will protect my client, and I will make sure that my client is well informed their rights the moment they came to Canada, and then whose authority to be contacted, and that I will explain to them the next step for them to become PR, because everybody who comes to Canada have that goal. Some of them will just want to work and go to Mexico and then come back. But people who wants to stay and become permanent residents, they can approach me and I explain to them the next step so they can make plans. And a lot of my clients they say, okay, I'm not qualified for this job. If I want to apply for PR because I don't have the requirements, then go to school. And if your English is not, you think it's not good enough, then there's a lot of courses here. Some of them are free, called English as second language. When I used to be a social worker, I refer a lot of my clients for free for those nonprofit agency. So there's a lot of resources. You just have to have the will to actually. You have to let me know what you want. You say, Melissa, I came here. I want to be PR. What do I need to do next? Because you're already working here. right? So you tell me your if your short-term goal or your full-term goal, then I will try to help you to go that pathway. Because I'm not only retaining client, I'm retaining client up to become they become citizen. And most of my clients that I place in different provinces who's a general farm worker or a different position, I have communication with them all the time. I don't just they place, they start working there. Communication continues. If there's any concern, driver's license, simple things like that. Like, oh, how am I gonna get driver's license? And there's a problem with my pay. So I don't just let them go. They kind of like a family to me because I know their success is my success too. So I don't advertise. I don't do a lot of marketing like advertise in the newspaper. Most of my clients are referred by existing clients who's actually happy with the services I provided. You don't have to take my word for it, but you have to call me so you can try. So you know if what I'm saying is talk to talk, walk to walk.
I see. No, it's very important the support that you give for your customers. This is very important. Other question, Mona Lisa, and thank you again for staying with us. We know that this is your family time. We appreciate you be with us today.
That's okay.
Okay, Mona Lisa. Other kind of question is, what is the process for Mexican citizens to seek and obtain the job offer in Canada? ¿Cuál es el proceso para un ciudadano mexicano buscar y conseguir la oferta de empleo en Canadá?
First, we have to have an employer who's willing to sponsor Mexican citizen. So once the employer express that we want to sponsor Mexican employer citizen, then we will apply for something called labor market impact assessment. This is a application that the employer apply for Service Canada to let the Service Canada know that I want to hire a Mexican workers. Once the LMIA, the labor market impact assessments approved, then that approval can sponsor and we can start to process bringing Mexican people in Canada. Provided that there's basic information that needed from Mexican people, like for police clearance, those document supporting documents. But the key thing, Blake, is we have to have an employer who's willing to sponsor Mexican citizen. And then once the employer comes to me and says I want to sponsor Mexican, I do the process. I start from the hiring to work permit visa to the end until the worker gets to Canada. Then I always make sure when the Mexican or client comes to Canada that I make sure that they're okay. They if there's no transportation arranged, I will bring them to the employer myself to make sure that they get there okay.
Yeah, this is the process that you said is it's important to have first the job offer. No, sometimes it's the hardest part of the trip. No,
It's I don't say hardest, but it's a challenge. But that's what I
challenge.
do.
Yeah,
It's a
this is the word.
challenge. Yeah. My what I do is I'm thinking about how am I gonna get employer. The employer's not gonna get to me. He's not gonna come to me. Some of them will come to me if I referral, but I travel different part of Canada and approach the different employer and get their as to what they need, what kind of employee they want to hire. So once I get an employer and the employer expressed to me that I strictly want to hire Mexican citizen, then I start contacting some people that have access to Mexican citizen. So as I said, you have to have a job offer, approve LMIA, and then work permit visa. And then when they get to Canada, if the employer is doesn't have that resources, I most of the time I help the client to get social insurance number, health card. Okay, so during that health card, the employer needs to pay the 90 days travel insurance. until the employee is eligible for health card. So just in case something happened to them within 90 days,
Yeah.
then they're covered, right? So make sure that the employer is paying for the fare, the 90 days insurance, the quarantine. The employer has to pay the applicant. It doesn't matter if it's Mexican citizen or not. They have to pay the 2 weeks quarantine when they get to Canada. So those are the little things that a lot of people doesn't know, but these are the little things that helps Mexican people or any citizen of around the world to come here to have that smooth transition, right? Smooth transition. Because for sure, when you get off the airplane, you're nervous. You don't know anything. You barely can speak English. You don't know what to expect, right? So part of my services is, which I don't charge for that services, is make sure that they're okay. They get the OHIP. The transition is good. They're clear about their job description, the job duties, and I have very good communication with the employer. Make sure that the message is clear from employer to employee, employee to the employer.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Now, Mona Lisa, we would like to have for the members the opportunity to contact you. In the photo, you can see the details for contact to Mona Lisa Ruiz. If you grateful migrants members and general public, you want to contact direct to Mona Lisa, there is her contact details. You are free to contact her wherever you want and keep in touch with her directly. If you want, you can see in the screen. You are going to see her office that we have it here. You can see it there. Okay. In other way, what other tips do you have, Mona Lisa, for Mexican workers? ¿Qué otros consejos tienes para trabajadores mexicanos?
Oh, okay. So in terms of working to Canada,
Yes, miss.
okay. Yeah. So when let's say you have a job offer, they came to Canada as a worker, and then they have their visa. Some of them, the immigration, sometimes they issue 1 year, sometimes they issue 2 years. So very important that 6 months before your visa expired, you approach the employer or you approach me and let them know that your visa is going to expire, because in order for your visa to be extended, we need to apply for another LMIA. Okay, so now usually the rule of thumb in our office, our practices, we put in a calendar when the client's visa is gonna expire 6 months before. So and then I will call the client and says, "Hey, your visa is gonna expire in 6 months. Did the employer express of extending your work permit visa? If it's not, we have to find another option. It means we have to find another employer, right? So they can stay in Canada with status."
It's important to retain the status, because if you lose it, the possibilities is going to be less, right?
Less, yes, definitely, definitely. Because you came to Canada for that reason, to make sure that you don't lose status. And if the employer express that they're not extending your work permit visa, then we have to start moving on and finding another option.
Okay.
So you have an option to stay. If the employer says no, we're not extending it, you don't have to go home. If we find another employer, we'll switch it.
Only switch and find another.
Yes.
But you are now in Canada. It could be easier to find another job, another employer.
Yes. See, there's a lot of people who wants to hire. There's a lot of employers who wants to hire. But the problem is a lot of employers are very kind of thing about sponsoring because they think it's hard. So it's very important and when you find an employer to approach me so I can speak to the employer and explain the process for them not feeling overwhelmed. and they think it's a lot of work to do it. But if I'm able to explain to the employer the process, then you most likely will be hired. Because if you approach an employer and the employer wants to hire you, but they don't know how to do LMIA, and they say, you know what, I'm not going to do it because it's kind of complicated. But if you approach me and I'll approach the employer, I will explain to the employer the whole process, and then they'll understand, and then they'll hire you. So it's a matter of educating the employer, because some employer, they don't know the right, they don't know what to do, they know what's entailed with details of sponsoring. Because they thought it's complicated. It's not that complicated, right? We just have to comply with the requirements of Service Canada, and then forget to get a positive sponsorship, which is the labor market impact assessment.
Yeah, the labor market impact assessment could be it's just for the employer, but it's the step that they must to make it, because if without that it's not working.
No,
It's correct.
without the approved LMIA, you can't apply for work permit visa. You can't extend anything. So that's the key thing. And in labor market impact assessment is all about employers. So the employer has to agree, then we can start the process.
Yeah, this is other important tip. If you are a Mexican worker and you are looking for a job in Canada, if you have an interview, you have to be clear with the employer and ask them, do you have an LMIA, or you are willing to have a LMIA process? If they said yes, you can continue. But if they said no, it's not the best way to come to Canada. It's correct, Mona Lisa?
Yes, you know what? One thing too that I noticed is, if you don't have a consultant, let's say the employer says, okay, I'm going to hire you, start working for me, and then we're going to process the LMIA. Some of my experience, the client's been working there for a while, and then the employer didn't even process the LMIA until the client, the employees existing work permit visa expired, right? So now, if you have a consultant who will follow up, who put pressure on the employer, hey, the employee is not supposed to work for that employer. It's illegal because the work permit visa is not for that employer, right? So make sure that you have a consultant who will push and put a pressure on the employer and say, hey, you promised my client you're gonna do the sponsorship, right? And he's not allowed to work for you until she has a work permit visa under your company's name, right? So you don't want to get stuck on that, because a lot of people are desperate. Okay, I'll work for you, before while I'm waiting for my LMIA for my sponsorship. But some of them, they take advantage and they forgot. They don't have a full intention of applying for LMIA. So you have to avoid those kind of employers. So if you have a consultant and they know that they have a consultant who's going to look after the paperwork, then they know that somebody's watching, right? Somebody's looking after this employee, right? Because that's what happened when no one advocates for that person. Some people take advantage, but there's employer too that they kept their word, right? So it's very important that you're knowledgeable. You have to know your rights. You have to understand what your working visa says, right? So when it's gonna expire, what to do next. Do not, never, never, never wait for your work permit to expire and then approach somebody else. You have to do it ahead of time, because it takes a lot of work. It takes minimum of 3 to 6 months to complete the cycle from job offer to LMIA to work permit visa. So it takes time. So make sure you give that time ahead of time. So you're not gonna be in a you don't cry, like you're not stressed because your work permit is expired, right? So all I'm saying to my clients, don't let your hard work go in vain. You work hard for your family. Your goal is to be PR. So make sure that you diligently watching your document. You understand what's your job. You understand what will be the next step for you. So you're not only focused on working on that job, you're focused on what's the next step. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. The next question, Mona Lisa, in basing on our words, is what are the most hired positions by Canadian employers for Mexican workers? ¿O cuáles son las posiciones más contratadas por los empleadores canadienses para trabajadores mexicanos?
Okay, so usually, even before to come to Canada in each category, you have to meet the requirements. So the position they offer you based on your education and experience. So if I'm looking for a supervisor position and I want a Mexican citizen, then I will look for a Mexican citizen who qualified for the job because it's very important, Blake, that the applicant match with the job requirements. Because let's say they can do any kind of job. They can do supervisor, they can do manager, they can do just general farm worker. But the bottom line is if there's a job offer, that applicant has to meet the requirements. They can apply for any job as long as they're eligible because when the LMIA is approved and the requirements is this and the applicant did not meet the requirements, the work permit visa will be refused. So it has to match. So they can apply for any category, higher position, low position, as long as the key thing they met the requirements, the job requirements. And some other things, criminal, there's no criminal, they pass medical, those kind of stuff. So basically they can do anything like everybody else as long as they met the job requirements.
You see, this is important to have in mind. What is your profile? You are a Mexican worker, okay? What is your profile? What is your skills? What is your experience? What is your education? Based on the consultant is able to provide you options, but you have to provide to the consultant the more information as you can or as much information details that you have it to give a good follow up about your consultant.
Okay.
Okay, Mona Lisa, we are near to closing, but we would like to know, you can tell us about a little bit about your company, what is your services in this topic for foreign skilled workers and Mexican workers.
Okay. So basically, my company is for an immigration consulting, and I'm the only director, and I have two employees. And our office is really busy. I look after all categories. I do work permit visa, student visa, visitors visa, express entry, provincial nominee program, and refugee, humanitarian compassionate, and I don't do adoption. So I basically do everything except for adoption. But my number one services right now that we provided for clients is in a work permit visa. So we service different kind of ethnic groups, different kind of walks of life. We have European, we have African American, we have Filipinos, we have Chinese, Vietnamese, we have Koreans, we have Mexican. So anybody who needs my services, it doesn't matter what part of the world you are, I'm there for you. This is what my services provided. And I do a diligent job. As I said, um, like a lot of people will call and says, okay, do you think you can get me a job? Well, the standard in my office, we do assessment first because prescription without diagnostic is malpractice, Blake, right? If you have a stomach ache and I give you a medication for your headache, it doesn't really, works that way. So what I do, I ask them to send their resume so I can see their requirements, their education and experience, and then I will make a suggestion what the category they'll be eligible, and then I'll make them give them time to make a decision. They want to retain me or they want to proceed. So basically, I'll have to see your profile first, right? And then if you're calling on the phone and give me a little bit of information, and I give you an advice that it's wrong, you're not gonna be happy. We've submitted an application that refused because you're not qualified. So we do a diligent job to review the client's resume, make sure that, and then I give a proper option. Hey, you're eligible for this, you're eligible for that. So let me know if you want to proceed, and I'll leave it like that.
Okay. And finally, the last comment. This is an open. This moment is the open microphone for you. Please tell us whatever you want. What is, for example, what is if you are, for example, the viewer, and you are in other country, and you would like to come to Canada. What is the best tip or guidance support that you tell them to improve the pathway to come to Canada?
Okay, so first, I probably will find, if I'm the applicant outside Canada, I will find a regulated immigration consultant license. I will check if this person is still active, and then I will contact the proper consultant and send my resume. If you don't know how to do resume, you can just send me an email. Type your work experience, education. Based on that information, you know, the consultant can make an assessment. And then I'll do a follow up and says, you know what, I send you my information. What do you think will be the best option for me? Right? So then the consultant will advise me, and then it's up to me if I want to proceed. Basically, a lot of people calling for the job. So in order for the consultant, in order for me to be matched to the job and me has to match, right? Otherwise, it's not gonna work. A lot of clients are telling them, you're not gonna hire a mechanic if you have an accounting problem, right? A lot of people, oh, I graduated engineer. Can I work as a carpenter? I said no. So if I'm matching you the job, I'm not I'm not gonna lose my credibility with the employer, right? So it has to be matched. I lose my credibility to the applicant because why matching you with the wrong occupation, right? So it's as simple like that. It starts from that resume, work experience, and education. Just looking at it, I can tell what option you are eligible, and it starts from there. So if you want to proceed, then you can contact me. Otherwise, that's about it. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Mona Lisa, for being with us. Thank you for your words, for your happiness with us, to try to provide the pathway, the tips, supports, guidance for the people that are like you and me in the past, foreign of Canada, outside, and with the dream to come to Canada. We would like to be thankful with you and wish you all the successful in your company, with your employees at home, good health and blessings for you and for all your family. Thank you very much, Mona
Same
Lisa,
to
for
you.
staying with us.
Thank you for having me, and just give me a call, and good luck to everybody.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Mona Lisa, and your dear member to join us today. We invite you to like this video, and if you agree that Canada is your destination, subscribe and invite your friends in your contacts in our webpage, Telegram group, Facebook group, YouTube channel, and other kind of social media that we have. We are very, very grateful with you for staying with us, your questions, and we're going to see you in the next time. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, Blake. Goodbye.